Welcome to Origin Stories. I'm RD.
I'm Parrot.
We're telling stories behind the digital art revolution.
Each week we interview top artists
and live stream with the community.
Let's go. Today is tomorrow's origin story.
Jason Ebeyer, welcome to Origin Stories.
Hey, thanks for having me.
It's been a while. I feel like this has been a long time coming. I've been aware of your work almost since the day I entered the space. I feel like your first drop on Nifty, which we will get to, your first collection on Nifty, which we will get to in a little bit, captivated me. We'll have some stories around that and everything. But now we're here, months and months later, and I'm close to some people that you're close to. I'm really glad we're doing this.
Same. Yeah, it definitely has been a long time coming. But yeah, very excited to be here and get this out.
The day before your drop, right?
Yeah.
But before we get to that,
nerves are setting in.
The nerves. let's see if we can distract ourselves from those nerves right now. And let me ask you this question. Jason Ebeyer, what is your origin story?
All right. So I guess I'll kind of I'll go back to when I was young, I guess. So I was born in Melbourne in the city, kind of grew up in suburbia. Then when I was 14, my parents decided that they wanted to just flip it, and we moved to a tiny country town. So that was when I was 14. So I guess my formative years were kind of spent in this small country town. Because all I knew was city life, I didn't fit in. So I kind of fell in with the wrong crowds, and really kind of was skipping school, wasn't really focusing too much. The only thing I was focusing on was art, visual art class. That was pretty much the only class I was going to. And in my year 10, which is our third final year here, one of the teachers, just out of frustration, she said to me, she's like, if you're only coming to school for art, why don't you just drop out and go study art? And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. So I went home and I spoke to mum, and I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. Would you be comfortable with that? And she was like, on one condition, you can drop out if you enroll in the course and if you go get a full-time job as well. So I went and got a full-time job at a fast food place and enrolled in an illustration course. So because I was in a country town, I had to do it by distance. So it's all online. So they would send me the work, I would do it, send it back, get graded. So I finished that. By this stage, I think I was maybe 17 or 18. Finished the illustration, still wasn't going anywhere. But I was still just kind of figuring out who I was creatively and the kind of perspective that I was creating from. I always was creating characters and things like that. But yeah, it was more of a traditional medium. So watercolor, drawing, illustration, stuff like that. And then as I got older, so 18, 19, it kind of shifted more into a graphic design point of view. So photo manipulation, collages. And then I got to 21 and I was kind of I'm not going anywhere. None of the people I'm around are going anywhere. There's nobody in this town whose life I want. So I was like, stuff it, let's pack up. So I packed up, moved back to Melbourne, back to the city, and enrolled in university to do graphic design. So I was doing that for about 3 years.
Oh, hold that thought real quick. If we could go back for a sec. That's a mature thought to have, right?
Yeah.
Did you realize at the time I'm having a mature thought, I'm going macro, I'm leveling up, I'm getting out of here, or how did it go down?
It was kind of this is going to sound so stupid, but it was kind of I could see the people I was with, and I could see the people that were kind of linked to us but older, and I could kind of see where I was going to be. And I was just nah, not what I'm going to be about. So I guess in a way it was kind of me kind of being if I make the decision to stay, I'm making the decision to basically fuck up my life.
It's a coming of age in that moment.
Yeah, I guess, in a way.
Yeah.
So moved to Melbourne, went to uni. While I was doing graphic design, I realized I didn't want to do graphic design. But part of our course, there was a photography unit and a design and art history unit. So I really kind of honed in on those things, mainly photography. So I had these two incredible photography mentors, these two women, Jody and Paula, and they were far out, like absolutely amazing to me. They both kind of took me under their wing. I would go with them on shoots and things like that. I'd be like their assistant. So I'd do like fashion shoots, theatre. So one of them, Jody, she used to do like promo shots for all these Melbourne theatre companies. So I'd go and help her take photos of all these stages and productions and things like that. And like they kind of really taught me a lot about composing an image and how to position people and bodies and things like that. And those kind of skills have definitely kind of carried through into my work. But then, so yeah, moving through to my final year of uni, full decided graphic design wasn't for me. And my boyfriend was like, why don't you just find something that you can do to kind of take your mind off uni, because you're stressing so much, you're just unhappy, but you want to be creative. And I saw on Instagram, there was lots of 3D artists and 3D art happening. So I downloaded Blender, started playing around, and I was kind of like, oh, this is something that I'm really, really into. And then kind of just put my all into that. So when I graduated uni, I just came home and just, stuck into that. And then from there, it kind of just grew, and I just started getting client projects. And the whole time I had client projects and everything like that, I had like 2 jobs, I think pretty much the whole time.
Yep.
And then, just worked at it until I was able to just support myself off my client projects.
So where does the inception of your Instagram come in? And I think it's a situation where maybe did you remove posts prior to your technical first post? I'm always like, it always goes either way, right?
Yeah, do you mean like, did I remove posts as in like my early work, like my early 3D work?
Well, like, I guess just like early Instagram account, because if I always scroll back, I'm like, what's the first Instagram post? So I got October 1st, 2015.
Yeah, because I used to have like my art Instagram and my personal Instagram as one.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went through and separated them. So I deleted all of my personal posts, and then while I was there, I did kind of cull a few of my I'm pretty sure my very first thing I made in Blender is still up on my Instagram though, because I was kind of like, I feel like it's important to have that one.
Yeah.
Just even for me, because it's like fun to go back and look and be like, yeah, like if I'm feeling shit, I'm just kind of like, look how far you actually have come.
It was amazing scrolling through. I mean, there's a very clear evolution. I mean, even your early stuff, like nothing is bad, right? But you're seeing how it's going step by in reverse, right? Because I'm scrolling down, not up. But it was pretty fascinating, and it was one of, out of all the Instagram accounts that I've scrolled through, you do see evolutions in a lot of different places. That was definitely one of the clearer patterns where you go back and it's just happening. It's all happening. I don't know, in a uniform way, it seemed like. Yeah,
I mean, it definitely wasn't like I was just kind of like chopping and changing through styles. I definitely kind of went in waves. Like there was times where everything was like super, super dark and like sci-fi erotic. And then it kind of went to like a more kind of light and dreamy erotic. And then now it's kind of balanced out. And I reckon almost in like a sweet middle ground where it's kind of like got a bit of erotic there, a bit of sci-fi, a bit of dreamy, like it's nice and chill.
I like some of the verbiage you use. You use like the glossy figure sensual style, but also there was the quote, seemingly plucked from the dreams of the digital generation.
Yeah.
It's very appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, my generation, like most of us were raised by a TV. Like we're literally sat in front of a screen and it's like, cool, here you go. So, I mean, it's so many of us are like so informed by like, like that kind of, what's the word? Like produced image. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. Even on social media, like I've had people message me and stuff like that being like, oh, like, I did a question story the other week and someone was like, your life looks so glamorous. And I was like, you're literally only seeing like Instagram. Like I do dishes, I do laundry. Like my house is always a mess. Like
it was great. What that brings to mind was Aeforia was on Origin Stories, and we were talking the week of his drop, and it was like a day or two before his drop. And I forget the circumstances. I think I was just asking him, are you excited or this or that? And he said, yeah, I had to get a new dryer today, a new like laundry today. And It's real life. We all have to
life
live it.
doesn't stop. It doesn't stop for anyone.
Exactly. So to go back to the client work, because you took us down client work road, and I kind of diverted us to the Instagram, the evolution of your approach. I know there were waves, but do you feel it's been just this step-by-step progression since? Because if you freeze frame today, Jason Ebeyer, one of the most distinctive looks and appearances in the entire digital art space. Like, I'm very convicted in saying that.
Wow, thank you.
To me, that's so clear. Like, it's just so clear when you see Jason Ebeyer. It's also clear when people may be overly influenced by Jason Ebeyer, like, you know, but that's a whole nother thing. Right?
I won't say anything about that.
No, nothing about that. But the point is, when I see a Jason Ebeyer, it's like, boom. So do you see the progression to that, even with waves? Do you see that as just naturally happening over the years as you experimented with client work and then personal work?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, with me, like I guess I'm lucky in a sense now where I'm kind of in a position for like the last couple of years where I've been able to be pretty selective of the projects that I say yes to. So for me, it was always, even before I had my agent, it was always really important for me to only do projects where I didn't feel like a content creator. So if someone emailed me and they were like, oh, I love your stuff, I want you to do a music video or album art. If I go back and check and they don't follow me, they don't know who I am, I'm kind of like, no, like you just want a 3D artist, and I'm grateful that you would like to work with me, but like you don't really want me.
It's like disingenuous. Yeah,
it's happened before where I got booked for, I won't say the name of who it is, but it's like a pretty big singer. And we did everything. And then she was like, oh, why is the skin so glossy? And I'm like, are you for real? Like, you hired me knowing this. Like, anyway, we worked around that. That was fine. But yeah, so I've been really selective with with who I work with. So I only really work with people who want to work with me for me, and it definitely feels more like a collaboration. And with each client project, I definitely feel like I've kind of leveled up within my own personal work. So I love collaborating with people and kind of taking on their way of seeing things. And then as I'm like talking to them and we're talking about the influences of the project, that kind of then seeps into what I'm working on personally. And then it's all kind of just this big progression through that way.
So as you walk it down that road, where does the concept of NFT even cross your path?
Okay, so I had seen people talking about it on Twitter. I think the first tweets I saw were people tweeting about Fewocious. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, this young kid is making bank on digital work. And I was like, that's really sweet. And I'm like, but like, this isn't a thing, like whatever. Back to hustling, doing my client work, being like, and then one of my friends, he's a photographer, Briscoe Park. He actually DM'd me and we were talking. I brought a print from him and he was talking to me and he was like, oh, have you heard of this thing called SuperRare? And I was like, no, what is it? And he kind of gave me the rundown briefly of what it was, but still like neither of us really knew what it was. And then I was talking to Shams, Smeccea, and I was like, have you heard of this thing? And she's like, yeah, I have. Should we apply? And I was like, well, why not? It's not going to cost us anything. So we both applied, and that was kind of the start of it. It literally took the full 14 days to get approved. This is back before SuperRare had like that hectic avalanche of interest.
It was good timing on your part.
I reckon, yeah. Because now I feel like, not to like shoot anyone down, but good luck to you. Seriously, they're all so backed up. Yeah, I definitely was lucky for the time that I applied for it. But yeah, so that was where it started, and then one thing led to another, and it's all just kind of snowballed from there. That's
amazing. So take us to that moment. So you and Smeccea decide, hey, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to apply. We're going to get on here. You go through the 14-day period. You get approval. When you get approval, where's your mind? Are you super excited? Are you still just, we'll see, maybe not? Yeah, it was a bit of both. Like, part of me was kind of like, oh, if this really kicks off, like this could be life-changing. And then another part of me was kind of like, is this real? Because like I knew about cryptocurrencies
and like Bitcoin, like I say, I knew about them, like I'd heard of them. Didn't know anything about like wallets, MetaMask, none of that. So it was definitely like a real fast learning curve of trying to figure out all this stuff. And I don't know if SuperRare still do it, but when I first got it approved, you do like an onboarding call, and they do a video call with you and they kind of explain everything. So that was like super helpful. That kind of really opened my eyes to the community. And then, I was kind of like, this could be like a really good thing if I can start selling pieces. Took a little bit of time to kind of really kick off. My first piece sold fairly quickly. I think I probably accepted the bid a bit early, but I was just kind of like, yes, this is amazing. But yeah, that was kind of like
sorry, I guess just hold on that first piece on SuperRare, because I think I mean, you have a lot of incredible pieces, and we'll get to the one that really sits at the top of the heap for me personally. But Ethereal Dweller was the first piece, your Genesis piece on SuperRare. Really interesting artwork.
Thanks.
How did you choose? So you get into the space, the 14 days, you have the onboarding call. You think one part of you is thinking, yeah, this could be something. Maybe this could be life altering. How do you go through the process of putting that first creative work forward into something with that thought of this could be a thing?
Yeah, so I was kind of like, I don't want to just put on work that I've already done for my very first one. Now I kind of, it is what it is. Like if it's something which I feel personal to, and I want someone else to maybe have that, I'll put that up there. But for this very first one, I was like, I want to make something special for this. Not to get like too cheesy, but it was kind of just like this new space. Everything kind of felt, this is so cliche. Everything felt like so like alien to me. And I was kind of like, this could be this new beautiful frontier. So I was like, let's just do like this alien character kind of in this beautiful space, butterflies and things flying around, like a beautiful sunrise behind her. Like that was what it was. Saying it out loud sounds so stupid, but it's this you say it well though. I mean, it's like very clearly a Jason Ebeyer character. You can clearly tell that right away, but it also has these elements of bright, vibrant colors, and the butterflies flying around add something interesting to it. I feel like it's one of your most unique artworks. Yeah, I mean, because I don't normally do I don't frequently do like a non-human color skin. Right. So that was kind of like an offshoot, but it was still definitely like my vibe. So the character that's in that female character, she is essentially my base character, which I was drawing back when I was like 14, and she's kind of had so many different incarnations through all the mediums I've worked with, and then now this is kind of where she's at now. So she kind of frequents all of my work, and then every other character I've made. Every other female character I've made is kind of from her. And the guys, I guess the original guy who's kind of like her equivalent was also kind of based off her, just like a hyper masculine version. And then take us to, so from there you go to Idol 001. And wow, there was a few in between there, which I'll explain about later.
Do you want to go there now?
Oh yeah, why not? Yeah, I'd put a few pieces up, and then I personally just got like really disheartened by it. I was kind of like, why isn't this selling? Like, this is really like upsetting me. And I burnt a few pieces. I burnt, I think like maybe three pieces. Idol 001 was one that I was like, no, I really love this piece. This is like special for me because it is my character. Like this is like the totem of her. So that was the one that I didn't burn. But yeah, there you go. We can go on now.
Do you want to give a final homage or pour a little out for any of the characters that were burnt or any of the artworks that were burnt, or would you prefer to leave them out?
No, we'll leave them. We'll leave them for now because who knows? They may in some iteration return. Just at the time, I wasn't feeling it. To be honest, they probably weren't they weren't like good. They just didn't really have that much of a personal connection to me. And it's like, if I don't really feel connected to it, I can't expect someone else to.
So that sounds like an interesting period of time in which, you put Ethereal Dweller up, it sells relatively quickly, still probably have that thought in your mind, oh, this could be the thing. And then it hits just that brief hiatus where you put several pieces up, nothing's happening. Maybe that reevaluation takes some off of there. Did that feel like a little bit of a leap forward where you reconsidered some things and reevaluated your overall strategy?
Yeah, I mean, so this kind of happened after my first Nifty drop. This is back in November, which like I would still kind of say is early Nifty days.
For
maybe?
sure. For sure.
Yeah,
I would
okay,
definitely say that. Yeah.
I was like, am I out of line saying that? I don't know. It definitely feels like even like 2 weeks after that first drop that it was like years ahead of where it was when I dropped.
Yep.
So my mindset was kind of like, okay, like SuperRare is going slow. Let's just wait till this Nifty drop. Things will kick off.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't quite happen like that. And then I was just kind of like, okay, maybe I've got too many pieces available. So that was kind of where I took those things off. And then I think what really happened, and again, this is going to sound like spiritual, and which I'm not really, but I'm very big on like what you put out, you get back. So I feel like the more I started interacting with the community, not just like retweets and tweeting and chatting to people, like actually interacting with other artists, supporting other artists, putting my money where my mouth was, like buying other artists' work, then it was almost like it started kind of coming back to me. So bids and things would start coming in, offers would start coming in. And then as these like little communities and friendships and things started to flourish, it really kind of took off that way.
Interesting. Maybe it was more, who knows, maybe in the end it's more satisfying that way, right? That it didn't all just happen perfectly and quickly. And then it was, you were in the stratosphere, right?
Oh, for sure. Like I wouldn't have made like the connections with all these people that I've made now had it just taken off the way it was. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's go a bit chronological then. Let's jump over to Nifty before we jump back to SuperRare and some of the other pieces there. Let's go to that first Nifty drop. So you have the Ethereal Dweller sale. You had that thought in your mind, let's wait till the Nifty drop, see what happens.
Yeah.
And then the Nifty drop happens. So talk us through that process, that night, and how you felt in the moment.
Yeah, so I with the Nifty drop, I honestly thought I was getting scammed right up until the moment that it went live.
Okay.
So I got brought on by IV Gallery, so same as Bill and like BossLogic people. I got the email and it was just like, hey, have you heard about the NFT space? Are you interested in doing a collection with Nifty Gateway? And I'd heard Fred and Blake, Kathryn talking about Nifty because they were doing theirs. So I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'll reply to this. Just like a side note, so many of my like favorite projects and things have come from an email that I thought was spam and I've ignored and waited for like a follow-up. Okay, so wait, back to Nifty. So yeah, so I had a call with Vincent. So his assistant his assistant, I think it was, set it up. Had a call with him. He kind of explained everything. It was super rushed. So that collection, Days was a personal piece, but the other two were just kind of like, I literally had 4 days to put the little collection together. He kind of ran me through it and then we did it, put it up, and I was like, it is what it is. Like I've just sent off this work. And then I get a text from Blake on the morning of it. And she's like, I'm just trying to put my card in to get one of your pieces.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, sweet. Like coming from a traditional art background where it's so hard to like, I need to phrase this so I don't sound ungrateful. I'm incredibly grateful for anyone who's ever supported by buying prints and things like that. But it is tricky to convert people who support you online to actually part with money, which is fair enough. I totally get that. No worries. So I was like, yeah, cool. I have trouble selling a $50 print. Like a $50 digital artwork are people going to buy it? And then, so Blake texts me saying she's putting her card on there. And then next second she's like, oh, they all sold out. And I was like, what? 50 things have sold out? No way. So I log on and I'm like, what? Check my Nifty account. There's money in there. And I'm just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was when I knew I wasn't getting scammed.
It's a good realization in the moment.
Yeah.
So we got to pause there. That's the artwork. Okay. So Gaze is the artwork. I have a bit of a personal tortured history with it. I'll leave that to the side for now. I'll just say this, that artwork, is on one hand, I can count on one hand how to phrase this. I've spent on one hand the top 5 slots of time I've spent looking at one artwork. That's how I'll phrase it. That's in the top 5 for me.
That's
Whatever.
amazing.
There's like it's a little bit different, right, than a lot of your other artworks because it's zoomed in, right? Zoomed in on the face only, and the face is almost like hovering in a void. And there's complexity to it. There's also simplicity to it, and I feel like its gaze is so perfectly named. And you just can get lost there. I just can get lost there. I did get lost there several times. And so I just want to tell you that in terms of, I think all your artwork is unique. It's fantastic. But that one in particular, for whatever reason, really held me and pulled me in. And it's one that, you know, with when I found it in the NFT space, I probably won't forget about.
Thank you. Wow, that's such a compliment. Well, I'm not sure if, I think it'll be released prior, but so part of this new drop, there is a Gaze 2. Oh. So like a second part, almost like a companion piece. Mm-hmm. It kind of sits separate from the actual collection that's dropping on Nifty. Mm-hmm. It's still technically part of it, but visually it's more linked back to that first one, just to kind of tie in. So there's the female gaze, and then there's going to be the male gaze. And,
interesting.
They're both a duo.
I love that.
So again, an addition of 50, and then
this is exciting. I love like diptychs and triptychs and synchronicity among pieces. You know, not that has to be done all the time, but when it happens and when it's done well, I personally am very captivated by that sort of thing.
Yeah, same. I love like. I love like little Easter eggs and stuff like that, and little kind of hidden things. This obviously isn't so hidden, like it's pretty in your face. Like, yeah, this is connected to that.
Right.
But I kind of love that kind of like the throwback and intertwining it in a way.
Yeah, especially since it was such a formative collection, a formative drop that really did wake you up to say, hey, this is real. This is not a scam.
Yeah,
this is a thing now, and this is a piece of your path.
And even just seeing how much that piece has like been loved and appreciated, mm-hmm. and then on the secondary market, just like to crazy amounts. Like mm-hmm. I could never have imagined that. So yeah, I'm so honored that it's connected with so many people.
So I want to selfishly just ask one more question surrounding that piece, since it really does personally mean something. When you created it, right? Can you talk a little bit about what drove you to create that art piece, with bringing it close, you know, focusing just on the face, focusing on the gaze? Talk a little bit about the creative inspiration there.
So it's not like mega deep, but I was kind of in like a bit of a creative block. I kind of go through like these waves of being like super inspired, and then it's just kind of like a flat line, almost kind of like I make heaps of things and I don't love any of it, so I just leave it in my drafts folder. Like I've got hard drives full of stuff that will never get released. But I was in like this spot where I was just kind of like, I'm trying too hard to put like all these things and all these elements and do all this crap and try to make it look like a movie scene, but then also try to make it look like a fashion shoot and be arty. And then I was just kind of like, this isn't working. And then my boyfriend, he was really kind of like, you just need to kind of strip it all back and just create something that you just want to create. Don't think like what's going to get the most interaction, what people are going to love the most. This was like not creating for NFTs. This was just like my personal work. So I just thought, well, like, let's just showcase my main character. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'll just do like a shot of her face with like a really high focal length. And so everything kind of like looks flat. Mm-hmm. And when I saw it, I was like, do I need to add anything more to it? And I was like, no, the whole point of this is we're going like super stripped back. And when I ran that first pass of the render through, I was just like, yeah, I love this. Mm-hmm. This like is kind of like captivating me. So mm-hmm. I was like, if that's happening, then I feel like other people are going to be able to connect to it.
Isn't that incredible how it works sometimes, where when you strip everything back, stop caring about what other people, you know, what might please other people, you turn it inward, right? Like Victor says, sometimes turn the lens inward, and create, and then that happens. I mean, again, I view that as your signature piece to date. I'm sure you'll go far and beyond and do incredible other things. But to me, when I think Jason Ebeyer, I for sure think about gays.
Yeah, I mean, if that's my peak, I'm happy with it. Like, I'm really proud of that. And I know it's like a super simple piece, but to me, it's like striking. Like, it feels timeless. I feel like a dick saying that about my own thing, but like it feels timeless to me.
I'll sign off. I'll say it for you. It's timeless. It's timeless. But also, it's not that that's your peak, or it's not that that will ever be your peak. It's just that it stands in contrast to some of your other work because of how it's presented, right? It's just the face in the void, just less other things going on. So when you put that next to all of your other artworks, it does naturally stand out just based on those simple facts, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, good. We got past that one. I was waiting for that one. We had to throw that on the table. Blake, Kathryn, love you. You have my gaze now. Let's go back to SuperRare. And I want to go back to Idle 001 because when I see the words Idle 001, what comes to my mind is like, is there going to be an 002, or what are Jason's plans for this piece? So I guess, how did you name it? Are there future plans with that in mind?
Yeah. So I want to do more idols. So really, like, what I'm wanting to shift into, it's not shift into, but expand into at some point, hopefully this year, is sculptures, physical sculptures. I had one made earlier this year, which I'll be releasing later on this year, but it was kind of like the intro to that. And I kind of wanted to kind of show people how these figures could look as a sculptural object. Like I love collecting like crap. Like, I love objects. I love having things around me. So for me, it was kind of like a natural progression to want to create my 3D characters in real life. So that was kind of where Idle 001 started. And I would hope that I'm going to progress into Idle 002 and so on and so forth. But it kind of stemmed from the idea of these characters. I'm just trying to think how to like word it. In my head, I know exactly how I want to word it, but I know as soon as I say it, I'm going to sound like a nutcase. It's kind of like in these like worlds and environments and things that I'm creating, these characters are almost like the gods, I guess, or like gods and goddesses. So these sculptural pieces, these idols and things like that are almost kind of like these totems to kind of represent these figures. So that was kind of where, like, to me, the word idol is like a strong word. Like, if something is your idol, like it's major. So yeah, there's Idle 001 here, and then in the Nifty drop, the open edition is called Idol, and that is the 3D rendering of the actual sculpture that I've had made, which does kind of tie into the Nifty collection as like this totem piece for this main character.
Interesting. All right, I like that. So it's like a maybe, right? It's a concept. It's a word that's strong in your mind. I agree. Yeah. I think it is a very strong word. It's being represented in multiple places. So maybe you double back for an Idle 002 at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that I originally had in plan. Like, obviously, when you name something with a number on it, the plan is that you want to do a series. Right. But I just don't want to rush it. Do you know what I mean? Like, Idle 002 will come when it's ready, when he's ready, when she's ready, who knows? Yeah.
I respect that very much. Yeah, it'll happen when it's time.
Yeah.
So take us through. Let's stay on SuperRare before we move off to Foundation, because I want to get there as well. But what else stands out to you on SuperRare? So, we've spoken about 2 pieces. You have 6 other pieces, including none that are currently available. Actually, the only one that's currently available is on Foundation. But so 6 other pieces that have owners. Where would you like to go with it? What stands out to you?
Let's start with Angels in Exile 2. So again, with the numbers, there is an Angels in Exile number 1, which followed the same kind of visual style, but instead of a solo female character floating in space, in white space, it was 2 male characters like embracing. So yeah, with that one, like when I uploaded that, I was kind of like, this is sort of like a turning point in the work that I want to make available. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to just keep chucking up like something I made 6 months ago, and then expecting people to somehow make a connection with it, like then want to fork out money to invest in it, and then that not happening, and then me like beating myself up about it. So I was like, I really kind of needed to start putting more not more effort in, but be more conscious about the pieces I was sharing. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different result. That was basically the bottom line of it.
Yep. No, that makes sense. And so this was the step forward.
Yeah. For me personally, that's I felt it was.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously a known collector, Sir Nigel, in there as the owner of that piece. So were you aware of Sir Nigel at the time? How was that sale viewed?
When I got the email that there was an offer, I was like, great, this is amazing. Yeah. I was really bad because that was the first piece that sold since my Genesis piece. And then everything else has kind of happened in like the last maybe month or so. So when that happened, I was still kind of on the fringes, I would say, of interacting with collectors and knowing who collectors were. I knew all my artist friends, but I hadn't really interacted with collectors yet. So it wasn't until after he had purchased that piece that I really kind of went and found out who he was, or they were. I'm not too sure, but yeah.
And then so from there, where do you go, or from there, how do things unfold after that point?
So from there, I burnt all the other pieces, and then I uploaded Climax. Still nothing was happening, and I was kind of like, so just a bit about me, like I'm not one to like self promo, which is difficult in this space, and I've learned now that you've kind of got to be like your marketing man. You've got to kind of yell about yourself. So I wasn't really doing any of that, so no bids and things were coming in, and I was kind of getting really down, and I was talking to my friends, and Toomuchlag, he suggested a couple of pieces. He's like, you should put these pieces on there. Like these are really nice pieces. These could connect with some collectors. So that was Shedding and Eternal Bloom. And then he actually brought Shedding off me. And I was like so heartwarmed to like have that go to a friend, which was amazing. And then he had it at a list price, like a really high list price, and it sold crazily. And I was like, this is nuts. Like, congratulations. Some people get like,
okay,
you go.
That was fairly recently.
Yeah. I would say like the last fortnight, maybe like 2 weeks ago. But yeah, some people get like kind of worried when you sell an artist's work that they're going to be angry at you, but it's like, no, like if you've made a profit and I've made a profit, you got enjoyment out of it. Now someone else can. We're all good. Everything's great. So I was so happy for him, especially because of how much it went for. I was just like, yes, like get it. And then so Eternal Bloom that then sold, and that was like my first still. Was it my first still that sold? Yeah, that was my first still that sold. And I was super happy with that. And then it went to Bold Chair, which was more of coming back to like that waves of my work. Bold Chair is kind of the wave that I'm currently on, which is more of like how do I word it? More of like a editorial kind of focusing more on like the cinematic aspect of my compositions. So that's kind of the wave that I'm on now. So that was like the most recent piece that sold.
And then Ignition somewhere in there?
Yeah, Ignition. Oh, sorry. That was the most recent uploaded piece that has sold, but the most recent pieces that sold were Ignition and Idol 001. I think they both went on the same day. I had a really good day. It was kind of like, it was like a foundation thing. And again, self-promo. I think it was all because I was harping on so much about my foundation release. And then everyone kind of like went from there to like, oh, where can I get his work elsewhere?
And that's sometimes exactly the tipping point process that happens, you know?
For sure. It was literally nothing. And then in the blink of an eye, everything was happening.
Because if someone, there's so much going on, right? There's so much artwork that's out there, and there's so much fantastic artwork that's out there as well. And, sometimes somebody and their artwork may be just on your periphery, like just outside the frame of vision, where maybe you saw it, but it wasn't the right moment. It wasn't the right time to really get in there and figure out what it's all about, what you're all about. Obviously draw your own interpretations and conclusions. But then that little bit of self promo, you find the one piece, you look at it and you're like, oh, Jason Ebeyer. And then all of a sudden it's like the thrill of what else has Jason Ebeyer done? Where else can I find Jason Ebeyer? What's still available? What's listed?
Literally that.
Yep. So I'm glad you got to experience that. And I think, deservedly so based on what you've put out into the space. Let's then go over to Foundation. So what may have started the storm, right? What may have started the storm. If we go over there, first of all, love your header on Foundation because it's gays. And then if we drop down there, so currently 4 pieces on Foundation. By the time this is released, I imagine none will be available. Although at the time of recording, we are sitting in auction time for inorganic.
Yeah. All right. Where should we start here with Brace?
Yeah, let's start with Brace.
Yeah. So again, with Brace, it's kind of like a similar story to Gaze. So I was kind of doing like that, more pulled back, more kind of focus on just the figure, because I do have a tendency to kind of throw like tentacles and petals falling and all other kinds of bits and pieces in my thing. So this one was just kind of like a really kind of stripped back focus on the character, and I felt that was kind of like a really good entry point for Foundation. So I don't know. I didn't really know much about Foundation. I didn't really know much about the community there or the sorts of people who are on there. So I'm like, well, this is like my main character. She's kind of come through everything with me. It only makes sense that she is like my Genesis piece on Foundation.
I like that thought process a lot. And it does tie back very clearly. And then Holding On comes next, right? Yep. And Jason, that was an artwork. I'll just tell you right now, that was an artwork that I was aware of, and I was aware of the auction, and I was in that range where if it was coming in just under that, I was there. Like I was there, and then I was excited to see it, kind of take off and have such an amazing end result. But I was in there and I was looking at that. I'm like, Jason's doing his thing, and
that blew me away. I was out for breakfast when because like COVID is kind of, it's pretty finished in Australia. Like everything's kind of not normal, but like restaurants and things are open. Like we can go out for breakfast, fine. It's all good. So I was out for breakfast with my boyfriend and our friend and her baby, and the auction was like in the final minutes. And I checked it and I was just like, what? Like this is crazy. Cause coming from the last piece selling at 3, I was kind of like, oh yeah, if I can hit that again, I'll be happy. And then when I was just seeing it, I was just like, oh, sweet. Like, this is great.
Yeah. And people were getting it. People were catching on.
That's the thing. I think it's because it was a really like, I feel like you can feel it. Like you can relate to it. You can feel like agree. the emotion. I mean, I think.
Yeah. And then that carries to you, right? That carries, I could read that on 2 different levels. I could feel the emotion of the artwork, but I could also feel the emotion of the moment as it pertains to everyone waking up to who Jason Ebeyer is. That's the fun part for me, because I'm sitting there with a finger on the mouse, and I'm sure a lot of other people were doing the same thing. Obviously, a lot of other people were doing the same thing, right? To generate that type of result. So it was this, I don't know, I felt this palpable like surge of momentum just around your artwork and around your whole persona.
Yeah, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. And then that rolls right on Golden Hour, another great result, which was your 3rd artwork on Foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, that was just in this kind of current wave that I'm like working in and the current perspective that I'm creating from. I've also, I need to be careful how I word this because I don't want to like offend anyone, but there was a period where I was kind of in the mindset that I'm creating from like my personal work. So my characters like don't need to be inclusive. Not they don't need to be inclusive, but it wasn't a thought to me. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And then some people called me out on it, and they were kind of like, hey, like you need to add more diversity within your work. And I wasn't like defensive or anything, but I was just kind of like, oh, like this is the perspective I'm creating from. Like my work is derived from like my dreams, my personal thoughts, experiences, and just kind of like how I'm interpreting them. And there was 3 people who were very vocal about it. They weren't aggressive or anything like that. They were just kind of like wanting to have a discussion. And so I started like a private DM with them on Instagram. And I was literally just talking it out with them, and they kind of explained their perspective, and they were like, we understand where you're coming from, but you also need to understand that, especially being part of the LGBT community, like you're part of a very broad range of people, and all of your experiences and your life and everything like that is influenced by all these different cultures and different people that you've interacted with. And I was like, that's actually an incredible point. And I feel so stupid and so incredibly rude that I hadn't kind of clicked to that. And that was kind of like a turning point for me to really kind of make a conscious effort to add more diversity within my work, like be it different colors, different races, and everything like that. Because obviously I want people to connect with my work. It is my personal experiences and my personal thoughts and feelings that I'm trying to get out there. But I don't want anyone to look at it and be like, oh, that's beautiful, there's 2 people hugging, but I can't relate to that. Or
right.
Or like that woman looks really strong and she's so powerful, but I can't relate to that. And that's 100% not what I'm about. I never want anyone to feel excluded when they look at my stuff. So that was kind of something I've been, I'm not even going to say like I've been trying hard to do, because it's not something that you need to really work at, but it's something I've been working to do, is include more people. That's
an evolution. I mean, I enjoy that real life story. I enjoy that, you know, people had something to say. You started the private DM, entertain the thought process, open yourself up to a new thought process, saw the value in it. Like you said, it clicked in, and you did something about it. I think it's an like the thing that really fucking has sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear or not. You say anything you want. Say anything you want.
The thing that's really like pissed me off about it is there's some people who have kind of taken it in the other way, and they're kind of like, oh, like why are you folding to like how other people tell you to do it? Like it's your own art, do what you want. And I'm like, well, I do want to do this. Like I'm not just doing it because people have said, like I'm aware of it now because people have said, but it's like, I'm not going to hear what they've said and agree with it and then just be ignorant and not change. You know what I mean? It's not going to make any difference to me if I change it. Like it's not hurting anyone. If anything, it's helping like more people feel happy and included and stuff. It's like, I don't get why you're getting angry about it.
That to me, that strikes me as an unfair statement, because it's making an assumption. It's making an assumption that you can't change your POV, right? You can't change your point of view. Yeah, but you can. Exactly. When presented with new evidence and new people and new interactions and new conversations, like
it's the whole point.
It's the whole point. And equally so, there could be another circumstance where you were presented with information and you said, nah, like I don't see the point, or that's not me, and you would have been within your rights to do that as well. So yeah, I don't like that assumption. I think, hey, you had conversation, you evolved, you saw value, and you clearly have, you know, diversified your artwork. Yeah. So good on you, my friend. Good on you.
Thanks.
And let's move to the last one that will be sold by the time people are digesting this, and that is inorganic. So that's an interesting one. It's like a bit of contortion and kind of like the serpentine or tentacle aspect to it.
Yeah. So I was just really like playing with the models, like how unhuman I could get the human figure to kind of look. Like I really love like just the contortion of it. And it's literally like that episode of Simpsons where like Homer clips all his fat to like the back of his body. Like if you could see the back of this, it's fucked. Like it's like not connected, nothing anyway, but it looks good from the front. But yeah, it was just kind of playing with that kind of this like alien creature. And then I was added in my signature tentacles, I guess, but made them chrome. I just wanted to feel like high fashion-y, but still kind of a little bit grotesque.
Yeah.
Like I really, really love, like, I feel like something being like grotesque and disgusting is almost like a matter of taste. Like something can be super, super foul and grotesque to someone, but other people might think it's super beautiful.
Yeah.
And I kind of love towing that line a little bit. This one is super special though, because not so much the artwork, just so much the auction at the moment. I wasn't planning on doing another one of one until after my Nifty drop, but one of my friends, her puppy is like currently in the vets, like on life support. So I'm doing this piece as like a charity auction to help them cover their bills. Because I know how much that puppy means to them, and I know how much my dog means to us. And I would be devastated if anything happened to our dog.
That's really, really, really kind of you to do that, to connect your artwork and to, again, take a step that you weren't planning on taking, but seeing a circumstance and doing something about it.
I feel like it's kind of like the least I can do, but I guess it kind of leads into like another topic with NFTs and the cash flow, I guess, that it's kind of enabling artists to have, like helping friends and family out aside. For me, I feel like my biggest kind of kick-ups in level of work were kind of held back from the equipment that I had access to. So it was kind of like, as I earned more, like I had a full-time job up until the start of last year. Like I was doing all of my client projects before and after work, and I was still doing a 9-to-5 job.
Wow.
And that was just because like everything I had, I wanted to put back into my equipment, back into my work. And I know it's like the tools don't make the artist, but if you have the concepts, but you haven't got the means to make it, it's pretty fucking shit. So for me, it was super important to kind of be able to do that. And that's what I'm loving about this. There's so many young artists, young creatives who are now going to be kicked up years and years ahead of what they would have been prior to this, because now they have access to do all these new projects, get all this new equipment. Like it's really, really exciting to see. And I'm so keen to see what they all do.
It's exciting times for sure.
For sure.
Jason, ready to play a game?
I am. This is what I've been nervous for, because I just don't want to say stupid shit.
You can say as much stupid shit as you want. That's what the lightning round's all about. So
yeah,
snap reactions, hot takes, however you want to take it. You're always welcome to hit timeout and go on a tangent, right?
All right, perfect.
No pressure. And if you blank on something, we can do the Family Feud thing and just move it right along to the next question.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, let's go.
Here we go. Topic number 1, digital art.
Life-changing and just art.
I like that answer a lot. Topic number 2, gloss.
Me.
Topic number 3, the last NFT artwork that stopped you in your tracks.
Let me. Okay, this, I feel like, knowing probably what like another question might be later on, I might have the same kind of answer. The last one that stopped me in my tracks was a photograph by my friend Briscoe Park. He's an incredible photographer. He shot one of my other friends, Ethel Cain. So she's a musician. So basically, Briscoe's pretty massive on Twitter. So his stuff just goes viral all the time. He shoots these beautiful cinematic photographs. And we had linked up for a bit. And then so Ethel saw that and she was like, hey, I never do this, but can you maybe like intro us? And I was like, yes, this would be a match made in heaven. So I linked them up, and then I'm in Australia, they're both in the US. So did it all through socials, and they linked up to do a photo shoot. And yeah, the photograph that came out, or one of the photographs, there's a whole series of them, but it was this beautiful shot of, she lives inside a church, an old church. And it's this beautiful shot of her in this church, and there's like beautiful red lights that like took my breath away. It was a stunning piece. And I bid on it, and Billelis has outbid me.
Bill, come on.
Yeah, I texted him this morning and I'm like, you're a savage. Like, why would you do this to me? But I'm happy it's getting the love it deserves. Yeah, that was a beautiful piece.
That's great. Topic number 4, Nifty Gateway.
Again, life-changing. Yeah.
Topic number 5, SuperRare. Keeping it rolling on the platform front.
Yeah. My first.
Yeah. Topic number 6, Foundation.
Fun. I like Foundation in terms of the look of it. There is some key things which I feel are missing, such as like a proper kind of search and things like that. I think Foundation could be a really strong platform. I do kind of think it may need a little bit more curation. This is a tricky thing as well. Like, I want anyone to be able to sell their art, but I feel sometimes people need to kind of just have a sec and just think like, am I at that stage yet? Because when you start making money, you're probably going to kind of hit a bit of a roadblock and be like, this is it, this is where I'm at, instead of kind of pushing yourself to keep doing the next thing.
Sure.
And I just don't want people, because it definitely happened to me. I got stuck in one spot for a while, and everything got stale. And that's, again, that's kind of why I go in waves. So that's kind of something I feel it could have. But in saying that as well, I just want artists to get paid what they deserve. So more power to them.
Yeah, I do agree, though. I think Foundation has a lot of core concepts that they're doing right. You know, the UX is beautiful, but yeah, I think things as simple as search functionality, and then, you know, ultimately deciding what they want to be. It'll be, I'm curious to see the evolution.
Yeah.
Topic number 7, concept that you have not tackled that you eventually want to explore.
Okay. I would love, not so much a concept, more like an identity, or like a type of person who I would love to include in my work. I would love to do some work showcasing the transgender community. I have a lot of transgender friends who are very, very close to me, and I would love to be able to include them. But I'm just trying to find a way that I can do it respectfully, or a way that is kind of viewed publicly respectfully. Obviously, if I'm doing it, I'm not trying to be disrespectful at all. But I just need to be sensitive, I guess, to the broader community with it, because I just don't want anyone to feel offended. So I mean, I've got pieces that I've made featuring transgender characters and inspired by transgender people, and they're all just on my drafts because I'm not too scared to share them, but I'm just kind of like, I just don't feel comfortable with it yet. Yeah, I guess that's kind of the answer.
Yeah, I mean, you're in like the exploratory information gathering, sharing phase, just making sure that I appreciate that thought process.
Like, I mean, who knows? I could share it and people love it and it's beautiful and everything's great, but it comes back to what we were saying before about, like, I've kind of got it in my mind to kind of expect negativity, negative feedback straight off the bat. And I think that's kind of like a roadblock that's kind of holding me back from it.
Yeah. And especially, not just that, but I think any topic in art that is perceived, not that it's justifiably so, but perceived as somewhat controversial, right?
Yeah.
That multiple different people have different opinions on how it should be put forth, how it should be handled, how it should be talked about. This is tough. I mean, it's bravery. Going down that road, which is a wonderful road to go down, but like putting yourself on the line and saying, I get it. It's like, it can't be 100% positive by nature of the topic. And I'll do it as best I can. It sounds like you're doing that on your own time, on your own terms.
Yeah. I mean, if someone sees it and they're anti the transgender community, they can fuck off. I don't care about them.
Yeah.
It's more if someone who is transgender sees it and they're kind of like, oh, like I feel kind of like you're tokenizing me, or whatever they feel. I just don't want anyone to be upset. So I think I'll just kind of hold those ones to me for now.
Yep. Topic number 8, dream collaboration.
Dream collaboration. Like as in the 3D space, or
take it anywhere you want to go.
Okay. I would love to collaborate with Sorayama.
Mm-hmm.
That would be amazing. He is one of my idols. I have so much of his stuff in this room. Yeah, that would be incredible. I would have said Tom of Finland or Stephen Klein, but I've been incredibly grateful, and both of those collaborations came to fruition last year and this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my last one.
So you got 2 of your 3 wishes already. Now we just need the last one.
I know. It's all downhill from here after that.
So Jason, actually, I'm taking it on a tangent. Can you can you give us 3 quick stories behind objects in that room?
All right. You can't see here, but there's a Sorayama Cyber T-Rex sculpture. That came out, I think, 2 years ago for an exhibition opening in Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. And I was shattered because I couldn't go. Obviously, I was like unable to go. But it was super limited. And then luckily I was just on a gallery and they had one available. And I was like, take my money, get that to me straight away. Another thing. So I got a Caws Gone figure. This is the first, I'm going to sound so stupid, but it was one of the first Caws things that I ever saw. He did this massive exhibition in Melbourne at NGB, and this was like giant in the foyer. So I managed to get one of those from the gallery. When I say it was like the first Caws thing I saw, I'd seen his work but hadn't linked it to the one artist, if you know what I mean. Yep. I'd seen obviously like all of the painted ad campaigns and things like that, but hadn't actually kind of made that connection.
Makes sense.
And then we'll go this print here.
Yeah.
So this is a James Jean print. I've got quite a few James Jean pieces. This one is incredibly different from his other work.
Yeah.
So he did these hand-painted posters for the film Mother by Darren Aronofsky. I think that's his name. It's such a striking image. You can't really see it because of the glare, but basically it's like a painting of Jennifer Lawrence. It's so weird saying it's Jennifer Lawrence. It's a painting of the main character from the film. Yeah. And she's like, her heart is kind of ripped out and she's kind of like offering her heart. Cinema is like such a massive thing for me. So when I saw that film, I had anxiety the whole time in like the best possible way. And when he's one of my favorite artists, so when I saw that he had done that, I was kind of like, got to get my hands on that. And that's only it's an edition of 100. So I was kind of like, that's a super low edition for James Jean. So I got that for my birthday for myself. It was a bit of an investment, but like it means something to me. So
I love it. And then the room, I had to ask at some point because the room is just so well put. I think I said this off recording before we started, but it's just well put together, clean lines, a lot of art. Yeah, very much appreciate the layout.
Yeah, I've got like a bit of like I've got so there's some photographs by Briscoe there, and then I've got a piece by planttdaddii here on the side, and then there's like my V magazine cover and just some other paintings and things. Yeah. So I kind of like just surround myself with things that kind of inspire me, especially in here. Like, so I want to feel like super creative and just kind of be reminded of everyone that's like around me.
I love that. And random reference drop to someone who's coming on Origin Stories in April, but planttdaddii.
Yes, she is incredible.
Yep. And I think
she was actually my first piece I brought on SuperRare.
Wow. Wow. And I believe you were one of the main influences into making that happen, to making that connection and having that be a thing. So really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, same actually. I'll always like, if I find an artist that I love, I want them to be successful. Like I don't get, there's some people who kind of get not threatened, but maybe kind of like a bit weird about other people getting successful. They don't want someone to be more successful than them.
Sure.
I don't believe in that. It's kind of like if you surround yourself with successful people, everyone gets lifted up. So when I find someone who I love and I love her work so much, it's incredible. Yeah. I just want to scream about it.
Yeah. It's that good old abundance mindset.
For sure. Yeah.
Topic number 9. What artist or artists do you want to give a little bit of on that exact topic? What artist or artists do you want to give a little bit of shine to, a little bit of love to today?
Well, let's go with planttdaddii and Briscoe Park. So very different artists. He's a photographer, very like cinematic photographer, and then she does these incredible organic sculptures, all hand sculpted as well, which is a skill which I think a lot of people overlook in 3D. Like my physical hand sculpting in 3D is minimal, but I can get by. She is just like next level, like really, really technically talented. So yeah, both of those two, they're both incredible artists, ones to watch.
Perfect. Good references. Both will be tagged, and hopefully some more of that shine and that love gets out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And number 10, our friend Billelis. You mentioned him earlier, outbidding you on a Briscoe Park, right? Or no, not a Briscoe Park.
It was
the collab, right? The collab piece.
Yeah.
And Billelis is asking you a question, Jason Ebeyer.
Oh, is he?
And number 10, his question is this: if you could go back to the beginning of your career, what would you tell yourself to change?
What would I tell myself to change? Okay, I've got two answers. One is like a business answer, which is boring but so real, and I want to say this in every interview that I do so it gets out. And the other one is a creative one. Okay. So the first thing I would say with the creative one, and that would be fuck everyone else and do what you want to make. Yep. Don't chase trends, don't chase likes, don't chase shares. Literally just make what you want to make and your audience will find you. So that is what I would change, because when I first started, I wasn't doing that. I was just kind of like doing what everyone else was doing. And that was kind of what led me into creating but kind of falling into doing the glossy material. I kind of did that by accident and I loved it. And I was like, cool, I'm just going to do this and ran with it. And then the business thing that I would change would be, as soon as you're making money, get an accountant. Flat out, just straight up. I message this to people all the time, like young artists and stuff. I'm always just like, hey, like, congratulations, blah, 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 like, well done. This is going to sound like really old man, but you need to get an accountant, like ASAP. Smart
advice. I mean, that's just, it's a reinvestment to take something off your plate, and it's a reinvestment to take something off your plate. And if you don't, it could hurt you later, So I think
for sure,
just a no-brainer to do that. Yeah.
There's no shame in bringing other people on board to help you, whether it's outsourcing certain creative things or even outsourcing business things. Like teamwork makes the dream work.
I love it. I love that cliche. It sounds cheesy, but it's true. It really does.
It works.
Yep. All right. And then in bonus number 11, Jason Ebeyer passing along to the undefined. You don't know who it is. Could be any artist, but the next origin story. What question do you have for that anonymous artist?
Okay. Dear anonymous artist, if you could look forward in your career 5 years from now, where do you hope to be and what do you hope to have achieved between now and then?
Jason Ebeyer, if you could look 5 years into your future.
Am I the anonymous artist?
No. It's going to be asked to the next. But I always love to turn it then back around.
Yeah.
How would you answer your own question?
Okay, so I would love to, like, in terms of life, I would love to own my own house and have a bigger studio to work in. In 5 years, I hope that I have released a few physical collectibles, like sculptures and things like that, of varying sizes. I'm excited with how fast the NFT space is moving in terms of doing NFT galleries. Like, there was the one that Greg Mike was involved with the other week, and then Fred and Victor and Joe, they've got an incredible one. I FaceTimed Fred the other week when they were setting it up, and it looks like it's going to be incredible. So I can only see more of these galleries popping up. So I would love to exhibit more of my my work like that. Prior to that, it was tricky with galleries because you had to kind of turn your digital work into traditional work. So do a print, get it framed and whatnot. Whereas I love this new way that we can do it with all these screen frames and things like that. Because it's like the work starts off digital, it should be displayed digitally. Like, it just makes sense. So I would love to have exhibited around the world a bit more. and just continue creating my work and supporting other artists coming up. I always just want to support other artists. I want everyone to be successful.
I like the vision. I think that your artwork in particular, as the screen technology improves and the display technology improves, I could really see it shining on those futuristic screens. Can't wait for that day.
Yeah, same.
All right, Jason Ebeyer, we did it. And I think now the appropriate thing to do is turn the focus back to what's happening tomorrow on Nifty Gateway. And
Yep.
you are the earlier drop, which is the key thing for people to understand about that day, right? Not the evening drop. You are the earlier drop, 2 p.m. Eastern time, I believe is that time, or thereabouts, just that their drawing mechanics sometimes start a little bit earlier. But be aware, cannot wait to see the second iteration, or the relative of gaze, right? The male complement to the female gaze. I'm very interested to see
think of it kind of like an Adam and Eve. Like in my head when I was doing it, I was kind of like, this is kind of like my Adam and Eve. But can I go on like a little bit of a tangent right now?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So I grew up in like a pretty Christian household. And I guess kind of as I grew up, sort of like rebelled from that as I learned more about it, I was kind of like, this doesn't align with what I am, who I am, like what I actually think. For me, I never liked the fact that with Adam and Eve, it was like the woman came from the man and was always like subservient. So for me, it was important to have like the female was the first character, and everything else kind of came from her, which is how it is in life. Like women give everything for people, so to be born and everything like that. So within my work, it's kind of like the female characters are always, if you look at it in like a pyramid, they're always at the top, and everything else is beneath.
So you flip the script.
Yeah, I mean, I reckon that's how it should be. So
it's interesting. I like that tangent a lot. I'm glad that you shared that, and especially just seeing that in your work, right? I think that adds some key context to it.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I mean, I can only write so much in an Instagram caption, and I normally write like 2 words. And a lot of people don't really know like the story behind it, or kind of like the perspective that I create from. So I mean, I love doing stuff like this where I can really kind of talk about it and expand on it, because it's not really something you can just like chuck in a soundbite. You kind of need to talk about it a little bit, because it leads to other things. Yeah.
Hey, that's why this exists. That's why we do this. That's why Origin Stories is here, to do exactly that, to add the stories. And just being able to sit here today and go through your SuperRare, the stories that you were able to tell there, the story from your first Nifty drop, initially thinking it was a scam, and then moving forth in your career from there, and then onward to Foundation, when you had that the momentous breakthrough, the palpable feeling that people were beginning to understand. Oh, Jason Ebeyer, right? Oh, Jason Ebeyer. And then now you're here, full circle, back to your second Nifty drop, and man, onward and upward from there. Like I truly hope that this is not our last Origin Story. I think there will come a time down the road where we start to have guests back, and between now and then, it won't be 5 years, right? Like the 5-year question, but hey, between now and then, I cannot wait to see what you do and where you go. We'll definitely be watching.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, Jason. See you, man.
Cheers. Bye.